All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving into a landmark Canadian case that really draws a line in the sand. It's all about the line between the government's need to solve a crime and your absolute right to control your own body. This is the story of R.V. Stillman.
So let's start with a question that gets to the very heart of this. What can the police actually take from your body if you say no? I mean, this isn't just some abstract legal idea, right? This is about your privacy, your dignity, and where the limits of state power really are. The Stillman case gives us a powerful and honestly pretty surprising answer. To understand this, we've got to go back to the early 1990s in New Brunswick. A truly terrible crime in a small town set off this chain reaction that went all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada, and believe it or not, ended up reshaping the rights we all have today. The murder of a teenager, Pamela Bischoff, was absolutely brutal. It sent a wave of fear through the community, and you can just imagine the pressure on the police. They had to find who did this, and they had to do it fast. The investigation pretty quickly zeroed in on another teenager, a 17-year-old named William Stillman. Now, he was brought into the station for questioning, but it's what happened inside that police station that lit the fuse on a legal firestorm. So this is where the investigation hits a major turning point. It stopped being just about asking questions, and it turned into a physical showdown between the suspect and the state. And let's be crystal clear about this part. William Stillman, with his lawyer's advice, explicitly said no. He refused to give any bodily samples. He was asserting his rights plain and simple. But the police didn't just ask again. They used force. They physically held him down to take dental impressions, they plucked hairs right from his head, and they even grabbed a used tissue he'd thrown away. They just physically overrode his refusal to consent. Well, as you can imagine, using force like that set the stage for a massive legal fight. The evidence they gathered was actually used to convict Stillman, but the case got appealed and appealed again, all the way to the Supreme Court, where it became this huge question about our basic rights under the Canadian Charter. And this really lays out the core conflict, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the state, which has a legitimate, important need to solve terrible crimes. But on the other side, you've got the individual, who has this fundamental right to control their own body. How on earth do you balance those two things? To figure it out, the court really focused on this key legal idea: conscriptive evidence. See, this isn't like finding a weapon someone dropped. This is evidence that literally would not exist unless the state forced a person to create it by taking parts of their body. You're basically forcing someone to become the evidence against themselves. So this intense debate, this ethical mess, it all came to a head in 1997 with the Supreme Court's landmark decision. And this ruling wasn't just going to decide William Stillman's fate. It was going to set the rules for police investigations for decades to come. And wow, the court's majority did not hold back. They called what the police did a profound violation. This wasn't some minor mistake. In their eyes, it was a deep, serious attack on Stillman's fundamental rights. But here's the thing, it was not an easy call. The ruling was a nail-biting 5-4 split decision. That deep of a division on our country's highest court just goes to show you how incredibly tough it is to balance crime fighting with our personal freedoms. So, out of this really divided decision came a super clear framework for the future. The court created a new 3-step test for deciding whether to throw out illegally obtained evidence. First, does it make the trial unfair? Second, just how bad was the police misconduct? And third, what does keeping or tossing the evidence do to the public's faith in the justice system? It forces courts to weigh everything. So when the court applied this brand new test to Stillman's case, the result was stunning. The hair samples, the dental molds, the mucus, all of it was thrown out. It was inadmissible. And without that evidence, the conviction just couldn't stand. It was overturned. So a murder conviction was thrown out. You might be thinking, okay, why are we still talking about a case from decades ago? Well, the reason is that its legacy, its impact on your rights today is just massive. Let's break it down. Basically, the Stillman ruling built this legal fortress around our bodies. It made it clear that we are not just walking sources of evidence for the state to tap into whenever it wants. It confirmed that police need a warrant to take something from your body. The message was loud and clear. In a free society, how you get the evidence matters just as much as the evidence itself. And that brings us to a final, really important thought. The Stillman case was all about physical things, hair, teeth, mucus. But today, our identity is in our DNA, our fingerprints that unlock our phones, our facial scans. The whole battleground for privacy has moved, and it forces us to ask a new question. Where will our body end and our data begin? It's a question the legacy of this case demands we keep trying to answer.